Mystery and Deceit, From Earth to Mars. Book 1 of Chaos's Orbit Saga. Written by James T. Hall. Narrated by Chris Pullman. Episode 5. Therymopylae, Part 2. Katie was still in shock as she began giving the orders for an offensive. A dark servant! She tapped into her prescient knowledge, realizing Chaos must have known he would trap Eric at this base during this attack. Otherwise, there would have been no reason to send a dark servant, especially his primus inter pares, first among equals, against just this base, against just her. Katie knew it would have been massive overkill. The fact that Chaos must have known about Eric's presence here, while troubling, had to be shoved out of Katie's mind for now. There was a battle to be fought, and won. From the bunker that now served as the base's CP, she began calling up her weary troops. Even with the force which Eric had been trapped here, they were all being worn down by the constant shelling. Had the TDF not kept control of the skies during the war, things would have been much worse. At the very least, this bunker itself would no longer live to serve as a CP for an attack. Dog Company shifted left on the line as Fox filled in. She knew the old path well and knew it would only be, at most, 10 minutes until Tim's forces made contact. "Chris," she said, "mobilize everyone. Dog and Fox will sweep down, but I want to be ready in case of a surprise. Have the cooks trade ladles for rifles." "Yes, ma'am." Chris had been a good citizen before all this, a high school math teacher. He was smarter than he let on and could be counted on to get things done. A defense would be ready in case. With a dark servant, the troops they now faced were members of the Black Band, the best trained of Chaos's pseudo-conventional forces. Katie didn't want to leave anything to chance. "Jackie, get the mortar squads up online in 5. We'll be in close enough that they won't be able to fire anyway." The plan for Dog and Fox was simple enough. Tim would hit the insurgents from the path and hills to the west. Sitting in the middle of the valley, Katie would push Fox on the right and Dog up the gut. Classic pincer. The enemy could retreat or be overrun. And, if they were all Black Band, they'd be overrun. "Ma'am, Dog's left reports weakening attacks." Tim was efficient in moving his troops. "This is it. Tim, come in," she said. "What's up, Katie?" Tim replied. The channel was locked and secured. "Should we start watching for you guys yet?" Katie said. "I would." "Sounds good. I'll meet you down there with some champers. Out." Tim was very efficient. "Jackie, change of plans. All mortar squads fire off 3 rounds AG quick, then online. 3 rounds AG, then up." "Gotcha," Jackie confirmed, passing the orders along. "Chris, my cooks have their utensils yet?" "Passing out the last 9mm ladle now," came the reply from around the corner. "I hope this won't affect my dinner," Katie called back to a chorus of chuckles. "May be delayed a bit tonight, ma'am," replied one of the cooks. Good morale. Katie scanned the battle lines out the bunker's windows. She could see all the troops of Dog and Fox in place, ready for battle. At times like this, Katie wished her foresight was as developed as Meng's. "Jackie, have the mortars join up with Fox. They'll need the help on that end." "Yes, ma'am." The center would open and split, making 1 for 2. The enemy's back broken, it would still fight. This was to be a massacre. Suddenly all firing below her stopped, the forest calm. Wind whipped through the treetops, swaying them slightly. A hawk screamed in the distance. Then came the explosive sounds of war. As if a whole storeroom of ammunition had been set on fire, the forest to Katie's left lit up, shots going out toward each other. Trees swayed violently as they were struck by rounds, the smaller ones falling to the fracas. "This is it, people! Load and lock!" Katie had never been a frontline commander. She never personally led her troops into battle. She preferred to maintain distance and sow a sense of the overall situation. But fate pulled her in a different direction this day. "Jackie, coordinate from here. I'm going down with Fox." Her top aides followed as Jackie took command. "Guys, we're going down to help out. Let their officers lead, though. Our troops are good and know their jobs well," she said over her shoulder as they descended the bunker's stairs to the makeshift trench fortifications. The sounds of battle were louder down here. "Jackie, report!" "Tim's line is moving down the hill eastward," Jackie said over the comm. "Dog has made sustained contact. Fox is yet free." "Mortars?" "Complete and online," Jackie said. "Okay. Time to move the right into the fray. Keep an eye out from up there." "Will do, ma'am." "Just think of me as your eyes in the sky," Jackie replied. Having come out on Fox's side of the line, Katie could clearly hear the sounds of battle spreading toward her as she walked further right. Fox's CO greeted her. "Ma'am, pleasure to have you down here," said Captain Tom Harper as Katie approached. "Thank you, Tom. This is still your show. I just came for morale support." Tom knew better. He knew that Katie would throw herself fully into battle, but also knew he hadn't the time to dig deeper as to the why she had come down. "Yes, ma'am." "It's time to close the pincer, Tom. Move out." "Yes, ma'am." "On line! Advance!" No sooner had his men started out of their foxholes than all hell broke loose. "Ambush!" Tom managed before a burst silenced him permanently. Once again, Katie wished her foreknowledge were as good as Meng's. This could have been avoided. "Command on me!" she shouted. So much for letting others lead. "Katie," called Jackie's voice. "Go," she said. Dog made their advance. No resistance. Moving to flank. "Have half the company go west, half east." "They were waiting for us down here," Katie replied. "Yes, ma'am," Jackie said. Katie suddenly regretted pulling the mortar squads. Some indirect fire would really be nice right now. Turning to one of her aides, she said, "Get down there and have that platoon start pushing up." She hated having to yell, but war was always so loud. "We need to relieve some of this pressure." Her aide ran off. A man in the foxhole in front of her fell backward, wounded. "Medic! Medic!" Katie yelled as she hopped up into the hole, putting pressure on the wound. "Ma'am, I'll be all right. Just the shoulder," the man said. "Okay, trooper." A medic jumped into the hole beside her. She left the trooper to him and spun around. The right flank was advancing and beginning to draw off fire. "Habari! Find out where my machine guns are, damn it!" Her aide rushed off. She grabbed the fallen trooper's weapon, quickly running it through in her mind. G-36. She swiveled its shot selector to 3-round burst and started firing. A cathartic moment hit her. Fox had made contact with the rebels' rear flank. "Forward!" she cried. "Up and at 'em!" She stood up, firing shots as she climbed out of the hole. A machine gun opened up from her left, another from her right. Finally. A woman fell in front of her. Push the advance. "Medic!" Katie called as she kept moving forward. She suddenly saw something she hoped she wouldn't see out there. A black glint off of someone's arm. A black banditic. "Jackie, report!" "Tim and the western half of Dog have their section contained." "We're in a pickle down here," Katie said. "I just saw an anitic. Where's Eric at?" "Should be by you any minute," Jackie replied. "He had checked in while crossing the base from the rear." Thank the gods. "Tell him to hustle that ass," Katie replied. A black bolt sang past Katie's head. It wasn't terribly strong. Just a lieutenant, then. Good. She dropped her rifle and brought an arm to bear on the glinting figure. Come out, wherever you are," she murmured as she traced the figure through the trees. A purple plasma bolt sailed through her field of vision, striking where the figure had been. Reinforcements. Good. Sensing around her as much as she could, Katie could tell they were already making headway. This battle, though, was hers. The glinting figure had taken off into the denser foliage. Eric came up and stopped beside her. "Bait for a trap?" he asked, indicating the nanitic. "Yep," she responded. Foresight confirmed as much. "What's the play?" he said. "This trap is only meant for us," Katie replied. "Specifically you, Eric. We go in there and it works. We keep pushing forward like we are and it doesn't. Simple." Eric surveyed her troops as she kept her hand trained at the woods. "They would do something so transparently stupid," he said. Through a wry smile, Katie replied, "They know they lost their leader. They're desperate. This guy isn't very strong. Must be trying anything he can to complete the mission. It'll still come down to him and us." "Then keep pushing the advance. Your game," Eric said as he moved off to join the left of the line. Traps. Sometimes they worked. Sometimes the prey wasn't hungry enough. Katie's troops kept pushing forward. Be they black band or not, her enemies still fell like any mortals. Her aide pushed the right end of Fox out to try and envelop the enemy troops. Keeping in touch with Jackie, she knew Dog was doing similar on the backside of them. This had been a losing fight from the start, and now the noose tightened. Keeping an open sense on the future, Katie felt the trap slip away further and further until it vanished completely. There simply weren't enough of Chaos's forces left to enact it. Yard by yard, troopers from both sides fell. More of Chaos's troops than her own, thankfully. Then Katie saw the glint again. She could now hear the gunfire from the other side of the pincer. The nanitic was still after her and Eric. A dark bolt flew out of the trees. She saw no trap anymore, but could feel he was still trying to draw them in. More bolts flew out, these striking her troops. Her choice was made. Sky blue bolts flew from her hand into the woods, clearing a path in front of her. She broke rank and advanced in front of her troops. Black bolts again flew past her. That battle awareness some nanetics shared did not encroach itself upon Katie's consciousness. She was glad. Her foresight, heightened in such battle, was better anyway. She leapt left as bolts flew off to her right. Hers sailed into the woods and struck home. Purple bolts now flew into view and struck the nanitic. Katie could see the man already dead before her in her mind's eye. It was now a matter of playing out their roles. She brought both arms to bear on the man and let loose a string of shots, each one driving him backward, each one lighting up the dim forest around her. 2 more purple bolts came in. One missed and the other was dull. Eric was low on energy. Katie pressed, letting loose another flurry of bolts against the man. With the last, he stumbled and fell backward, a subtle glow in his chest. "Don't kill him yet," called Eric. Katie approached the man, the killing shot glowing in her right hand's center chamber. "Twitch. Please," she said to the nanitic. Eric came to the side of the man, being sure not to block Katie's shot. "You wanted us," he said. "Now tell us why." "He has plans for you, Eric," the man rasped. When would these nanitics learn that the nanites didn't actually make them invulnerable? Of course, there were never any survivors to tell the rest otherwise, thanks to Chaos's battlefield tactics. "Of course he has plans for me," Eric said. "Such as?" "He failed this time. But all your minds," the man's gaze flickered on KT, then back to Eric, "will be his." "He cannot hive mind with us," Eric said. "It is impossible." "He found a way. You," the man looked directly at Katie, "were to be the portal. He will find another way. He did leave a present with me he knew you would enjoy." Katie saw fire. 5, 4, 3. Both Eric and Katie turned and got off 2 steps before the bomb exploded. They were thrown to the ground, the blast enough to rattle them, but not enough to cause damage. "At least I won't have to burn another body today," Eric said as he picked himself up and dusted off. "Ow," was Katie's only reply as she came to her feet. "Jackie, report. Tim's forces report that their part of the battle's over. We heard an explosion. What's going on?" "Just a lunatic going pop. How does this half of the battle look?" "Casualties are significantly higher," Jackie said. "Skirmishes are still going on. Members of Dog and Fox lined up on the far side, though. They've closed the pincer." "Good. Eric and I are in the middle of it all. Tell the troops not to shoot us, please." "I'll pass it along," Jackie said. "CP out." So that was it. The nanitic commanders of the force besieging Therymopylae were dead. Their forces soon to be as well. Katie already saw the figures for the battle. Including the siege, the TDF forces at Therymopylae had suffered roughly 15% casualties, with around 30 of those KIA, including the loss of a few fine officers such as Tom. The Chaos fanatics they faced would end up losing 100% of their forces by the hand of the TDF or their own. 675 troops killed, including a dark servant and nanite apprentice. It was a dark day, to be sure, and some of those numbers had yet to fulfill their role in Katie's foresight. Such is the Battle of Therymopylae, she thought, and Eric Pullman its hero. Mystery and Deceit from Earth to Mars, Book 1 of Chaos's Orbit Saga. Written by James T. Hall, narrated by Chris Pullman. Episode 5, Therymopylae, Part 2. Visit us online at www.narclaninc.com to link up with us.